Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I have a video all about my wonderful house plant I have next to me here. This is my Ficus elastica Robusta and I've had this plant a good many years now. I got it as a little shoot which was right down here, and I grew out some roots on this plant with water propagation, and then I planted it in a pot together with, I think I had 5 stems or so, and most of them died off, and this one is my survivor. Now it must be at least 5 years ago when I first got this plant, but I can't remember exactly now. Anyway, I did a video a while ago, and we can call that video part A because this is now video part B of this plant, because it was growing up as one thin long stem, as you can see here, very thin and just going up and up and up, and I didn't want this plant to grow into one big long stem. I wanted it to branch out and become a little tree for me. So in that video I decided to prune off the top of this plant to see if that would encourage branching on the rest of the plant. And well, suffice to say, if you look at this plant, you can see there has been plenty of branching out and the plant looks absolutely fabulous. So what's going on and why does a plant do this in the first place? Well, I took off the apex bud that was on the top of the plant. That is the leaf or the part of the plant that is growing out as the tallest area on the plant. And well, this is one stem, so there was only one apex shoot. You could have another type of plant where there could be different branches vying for the apex position. But this one, it was very simple, one apex bud. So I pruned off that, and that meant that I took away the dominance of the hormone auxine from the leading bud, because the auxine allows the apex bud to carry on growing out while it flows down through the stem, through the phloem in the plant, and when it reaches any nodes or buds on the side of the stem, it inhibits those side buds or shoots from growing out into branches. So the phloem transports this auxine down into the plant, and my stem just kept growing up and up and up. It has the original leaves that were on the stem as it was growing up, still on the sides. And it did have shoots ready to burst where leaves had fallen off as buds on these nodes here, ready to become branches, but they never did because of the auxine, which the apex bud of the plant had control of. And that meant that the auxine would now be released and accessible to the side shoots that could now start growing out. And it's now thought that many different aspects help in the lateral growth of branches in a plant, not just auxine, many other things such as abscisic acid, which inhibits bud growth, and cytokinins that help to promote bud growth. And also there's talk about sugars that are released that help these lateral branches to grow out. So there's a lot of different theories and so forth about the growth of plants from the apex to the lateral growth. But for the most part, there's been a lot of scientific research about auxine and how it inhibits lateral growth while there is an apex bud on the top of the plant. So anyway, that aside, I did that, and well, I've got all of this wonderful branching coming out. My plant is doing very well. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 what I will call lateral growth, and then there where I pruned off the top part of the stem and the apex bud, the lateral growth from the side actually started folding up to become the new apex of the plant, which is causing my plant to start growing up taller again and reducing the amount of growth on my lateral branches, even though you'll see when we go in for a closer look in just a moment that there are new leaves coming out on every single one of these branches, and they're growing very well. But I want more branches up here along the stem And I'd like a few more down here if possible to help grow out the girth of my trunk. I want it to get thicker. So I'm hoping by keeping these lower branches down here that this will thicken out. And then once I have the thickness that I want on the plant, I can prune off the lateral growth here and propagate those into new plants of their own. Because then when they're in the pot and upright, they will become an apex bud and start growing upwards. So let me take you in now for a closer look so you can get to see these branches and how this plant is doing all over. Look at these wonderful branches, how they're growing out, how the leaves are looking, how the main stem is looking, or the trunk of the tree we can call it now, because it has got branches, so I can call it a trunk, even though it needs to get a bit thicker. And this is how a young Ficus elastica Robusta grows out to be a new tree. This was just a little twig off a huge rubber tree I saw in the south of Spain when I was there, in the burning sun and growing out. Absolutely amazing, one of many, and they grow so prolifically down there that people have to go in and prune them back a lot because they grow very quickly in the growing season. And there was just loads of stems lying all over the road where people were pruning them back and then leaving piles out to be collected and taken away. So I just took myself 5 stems, and of them I got this plant, and I'm so pleased that I've managed to get it to be like this from a little twig all by myself. That just feels so wonderful, and I've had this plant for so many years that I'm so pleased about the whole transformation of this. So let's go in now for that closer look. So if we go in, you can see down the bottom that there are 2 branches growing out, one down here, and it's doing really well, and then the next branch here, which is growing out equally as well. And you can see the new leaf about to come out there. So these are growing out at the bottom and will be staying on the plant for a while to help thicken out the trunk down here. That's what I'm hoping, that by being there, this trunk will look like more than just a thin twig growing upwards. So that's my theory with leaving those 2 lower branches on, and when I don't need them anymore, I can prune them off and propagate them as 2 new plants of their own. And some of the original leaves are still here, like this one, and the 2 branches there. And then as we go up, you can see more of the original leaves growing out here. And then you can see one more branch going off to the left here, which is growing really well as well, with new leaves coming out. You can see the red sheath here over the leaf. And then there's another big branch growing out here, the side. All the leaves looking absolutely fabulous. And once again, it has a red sheath of a new leaf growing out up there. So look at the wonderful leaves. And this one, absolutely fantastic. And then we have a little branch growing out here as well, which also has fantastic new leaves and a red sheath of a leaf coming out. And then we have the other branch here that should be growing out as a branch, but has decided to become the dominant leading part of the stem. And I don't want that, because then the plant is going to carry on growing up taller and skinny, and I really want this plant to stay around the height it is. So I'm going to have to force that branch down vertical to encourage it to grow out more stems. So from here, you can see that dominant stem. That's the one that I need to weigh down so that it's vertical and helps to encourage the plant to produce even more branches. But it's been doing so well. Look at this compared to when I did my first video. A lot has happened since then, a lot of branching, and that makes me just so happy to see that this actually worked. This plant responded really well to having its top pruned and responded by giving all of this beautiful growth. So let me get in now and show you how I'm going to do this. So I really hope you liked seeing this plant closer up so you can really see what's going on with it. So now I'm going to get on with the next phase, and that is I want to take the apex bud now, so the top of the plant, and I need to fold it down to the side because I want the plant to start branching out more lateral growth and not upwards. This was the whole point of doing this. I don't want this plant growing upwards. So what I have is a little bit of string, and I'm going to tie it to the end of that branch up there, and then tie it to the bamboo stake that I have in holding my plant up, so that I don't damage the actual stem of the plant by tying it to that. And then by folding that down, the oxime will not travel to that apex point anymore. It will stop at the top of the trunk and it will produce another leader, and then I can let that grow a little bit and then fold that to the side, and I'm hoping that this will help to get a lot more branches at the same time as the rest of the trunk growing out some more lateral growth, because that will stimulate all of this area. So let's get on with this. So got my scissors, got my string, and we'll just see how this goes. So get this around first, and then basically, and around that leaf too there. And so fold it down. Aha, no, I need to have it behind that leaf to keep it in place. So there. This looks a bit rough and looks like I could damage the plant, but I think it's going to be absolutely fine. Now I've got my branch down. Now how am I doing this? Actually, I don't know. I need to put it in front of that leaf actually, otherwise I'm not going to be able to. Need to get around here. Fold it down, and then as I said, I'm going to tie it to my bamboo stake, not the trunk of the plant. So I have a bit of string here that I can actually tie it to already, and there we go. So that's on the side now, tied down, so it's become a lateral branch. So if I turn this to the side, you'll be able to see better how I've now caused the apex of the plant to become a lateral branch, and that has left the top open now for a new shoot to grow out. But I have this lateral branch here now, and if I do not tie this one down, it will start straightening up and become the new apex, because now it's higher. So I have to fold that down as well. So same procedure. Tie it down. So that's those two branches tied down. But then the next one below it has become a little bit higher. So if I don't get that one down as well, it will become the new apex. So I have to make sure that these branches around the top area are all facing laterally or a little bit more downwards. So now I have tied down all of the top side shoots and got rid of the apex bud, and now this plant should start shooting out more lateral branches from the nodes and the buds that I can see where there were leaves before. And I'm hoping that this plant, now that it's produced these two branches on the side at the front here, that it will produce some on the back side as well, so that I can get some girth growing around the bottom of this plant, because eventually it will only be this top area that will remain on the plant. So it's okay if it grows out a little new top apex bud here, so that I can put that to the side and encourage the plant to keep branching out for a little bit more until I really do get a full tree effect. So let's go in now and have a closer look so you can see what I've done with this simple method of tying down the branches with string to the string I already had here or on the bamboo stake. And this is the next step of this plant being shaped into a little tree for me. Let's go. So here we go. This is what my plant's looking like now, and if we zoom in, you can see the apex leader has become a lateral branch, and then this one also to the side to stop it from becoming the new leader. The one at the back was okay. This one over here became a little bit taller, so it had to be held down as well. so that it didn't try to become the new leader. And then the rest of the plant is exactly the same for now, with these lateral stems left in place, but the concentration of branches will be up here in this area, and this really is going so well. Very quick and easy way to branch out your Ficus elastica Robusta or any of the other types of Ficus elastica plants that you have. You can do this with. You can do this with many different plants. Many plants that have one central apex leader and stem that you need to branch out, you can try this with. Some plants are more bushing naturally, and then you will have to go in and choose your lead bud. But this is just turning into that little tree that I was hoping for. I'm so pleased about this. Look at that. Absolutely wonderful. So if we look at the lead stem closer here, you can see where I pruned back on the top before and how this stem grew out of the node area on the side. So I'm expecting a new stem to grow out at the top here now to carry on this branching process. And that is the whole lead stem, completely horizontal, just perfect. And all the string holding everything together. So this plant is going to look a little bit funny for a while, but, well, as part of the reshaping process, that's the way it has to be, because it really is starting to look like a tree. Don't you agree? Wonderful. So that's me done. And this plant, I always put it outside for around about 4 months. And then it comes back into my house as a house plant for 8 months, because this is a heat-loving plant. It would never be able to survive very cold temperatures here. It would never be able to survive any kind of frost. It is a house plant in Sweden. But during the summer, I keep it out. I never keep it in direct sunlight because it's never been used to that. I keep it on the eastern side of my house, but there are a lot of trees with our Crystal Woods area there. So it gets dappled light all day long, and it seems to absolutely love that. And it's just growing out lots of new leaves. So I know it's very happy. It really enjoys being out for the summer. But it copes very well as a house plant for the rest of the year as well. So I'm really pleased about that. And I'm pleased I got to make a second video, a part B, to show you the outcome of my last video that you can go back and see, so you can see the whole process. And then I will probably have a part C of this plant sometime in the future, so that we can see how much more it's branching out. So all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up, and I will see you again very soon. Goodbye.